We say to girls,
What is your podcast?
you can have ambition, but not too much.
Gonna be yapping and cackling away?
Naturally.
If I looked feminine, I would not be taken seriously.
I'm just a girl.
It's amazing how much you can get if you quietly, clearly, and authoritatively demand it.
All right, everybody, welcome to today's episode of Two Girls in the Market, where we share stories, laughs, and conversations that empower women in real estate and life. Today, we are touching on a subject that's really as old as time. It's going to be maybe a little bit more of a raw episode. We're going to be talking about heartbreaks in the markets, in the dating world,
all the markets
in the real estate world, and here to walk us through these somber times, one emotional step by the next, is myself. I'm Amber Haley. I'm a real estate agent on the Big Island of Hawaii, and I'm joined by my co-host, Rebekah Daniels. How are you today, Rebekah?
I am amazing. Not going through heartbreak currently. Not that I haven't recently, but, making the best of today.
Oh, good. So I hope everyone that's listening grabs their favorite comfort drink. I've got some cold coffee right here.
How comforting.
Coffee is very comforting to some
I meant
of us.
the cold part.
It is the tropics in Hawaii.
That's true. Refreshing.
Mm-hmm.
I normally you would hear, oh, I'm going to grab my iced coffee, but no, we're going with just cold.
Oh, okay. Yes. Iced. I'm sorry. My iced.
Is it ice, bro?
No. I'm
in
just
your
trying
mug?
to sound as fancy as you PNWers. Okay. This is just
coffee is a culture here.
It is a culture. You've got better coffee vibes. Although we do have Kona coffee. It's expensive. I'm going to be honest.
Isn't everything in Hawaii expensive though?
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. Oh, but it's worth it.
All right. So before I derail us anymore, what are we talking about with heartbreak today, Amber?
Okay, are you in your coziest spot, Becca?
Wait, hold on. Let me get all.
We are going to embrace the beauty,
pillow,
the beauty of female vulnerability together. Okay. And we're going to talk about maybe some stories. We might have some stories. We usually do. We might have some jokes. And we're going to talk about the power of moving forward and how we navigate through heartbreak and loss. So let's jump in and explore these uncharted waters, or too charted of waters, perhaps. Do we need tissues today? Hopefully not.
They're back there.
They're back there. Okay.
They're somewhere. I can leap up and get them for myself if I start, or it's.
Okay, so I would say most of my experience with heartbreak is probably in the dating market over the real estate market, although we do experience it in both. I mean, you lose a deal, you lose a transaction, you lose a client, or maybe if you are the buyer or seller, you lose your dream house, or you have to watch your clients lose their dream house. Yeah. But I think that probably most of my heartbreak has come from like the dating world. It's like that feeling in your chest. Like that sinking feeling, that like loss of like this glimmer of hope and this future that you maybe saw. Like, I don't know. What does heartbreak feel like to you?
It is definitely like a full body experience. I usually feel it like right back here in my traps, and it like goes up my head of just like all this tension. And I feel my heart just sinking into my stomach, and it's horrible. I hate it. It's the racing thoughts. It's the emotions. It's not a good time.
It's not a good time.
Real.
I think probably every single person I'm sure can relate, because this is a really universal experience. Even though it's so uniquely personal to all of us, and the way that we feel it is probably different. For a lot of people, myself included, like finding connection, or if you're in the real estate market, like maybe finding the dream house or that amazing client is not always easy. And so when you do, you like open your heart to something or someone, and you're just sharing your life and everything that you like and don't like, and picturing a future and being vulnerable. And that can be really scary. When you find somebody else who sees you and then you lose that, like that's really, really hard.
Yeah, it's that loss of future, because it's not just so like if you end up breaking up, it's not just, oh, okay, I'm no longer with this person. If you've really gone that far down the line in your mind, or even in your conversations with them, it's a lifetime that you're grieving, essentially, of like what could have been with this person.
Every plan you made, it's almost like a death. not to be dramatic, but it is almost like a death. And then I
Yeah.
think sometimes it makes you question your own identity because we get so entangled sometimes in our relationships and our dreams. I think especially as women, like I think we might be more guilty of that than men sometimes.
Of defining ourselves by our relationships.
By our relationships or by this like ideal life that we
Mhm.
envision for ourselves. I know I do. I struggle with that a lot, becoming intertwined in different things and different ideas. So I think that's
Mhm.
why heartbreak can be really, really hard.
Mhm.
And often just feel like, how will I ever get over this?
Mhm. You will.
Yes.
I promise.
In fact, like can you think about your very first heartbreak? Do you remember it?
Oh gosh, I mean, this was how many years ago? I don't know. I mean, there's been so many crushes, throughout childhood that probably that would be the first heartbreak is like, oh, that boy didn't like me. And then
Oh,
you're just like, oh, crushed.
yeah, Jonathan Taylor Thomas. Did you remember him growing up?
Oh yeah.
The TV star. I mean,
Super
that was
cutie.
actually my first heartbreak that we never met and we didn't fall in love because I was so sure.
I
Actually,
thought, if we just happened to run into each other at the mall, because you always used to go to the mall. Now we don't. We just online shop. If we ran into each other at the mall, he'd see me across the way and be like, "Oh yeah, that's the girl for me."
okay. So here is how I have found that I get over heartbreak a little bit easier,
Okay.
even when I don't feel it in the moment,
Mm.
because I experienced a really deep, painful heartbreak when I was maybe like 20 years old. I would say that was my first real one, aside from Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Wait, is this the short guy that you thought was the one?
No, I don't date short guys.
You did in college.
Okay.
This is
Can't
a
really
few
remember.
episodes back. This is a few episodes back. But I just recently edited it. So I'm like, I remember.
Oh, okay. So we might have talked about this before, but yes, I did date a guy in college
Mhm.
and I was so sure that he was like the person for me. And now when I feel like a really painful heartbreak, I think back to like how I felt like that was the darkest day of my life. And I could not imagine a deeper, more painful thing. And now I think of who I am now and what our life would have been together. And it's like so laughable.
It's like,
It's
thank
so,
goodness.
thank goodness. And I mean, I really thought life would not go on at that
Yeah.
time. So I always think back to that. I'm like, oh no, you got over that guy. You will get over this too.
You can get over these things. It's definitely a mind over matter situation where we have to take control of our emotions. And that is not an easy thing to do. It's definitely like a muscle that you have to learn to work. It's training your mind not to go down those rabbit trails and to just be stuck in it, thinking in circles and circles and circles. And I know that like at times that feels more impossible than others,
Yeah.
but it is possible. And again, it is a muscle that you have to exercise. It's something that you have to practice doing, because that's something I used to deal with, like a lot of anxiety. I've definitely dealt with depression. So these are things that like I learned about myself is like I have to stop these thoughts and I have to do like mental exercises to get myself focused on other things so that I can get my body regulated again and get back into movement and moving forward. And so spending time thinking about this person or this situation, something that you cannot change,
Yeah.
doesn't help anything. And so it's not that you don't get to feel your emotions. It's not that you can't feel your feelings. Do that. That's part of the healing process.
I think you do have to.
Stuck in it.
Mm-hmm. You have
So
to
it's like,
process it,
yeah,
feel the
process.
pain, acknowledge it, go
Mhm.
through it. But then it is such an opportunity for growth
Mhm.
and developing resilience and all of those things. I think that is how like we get out of it and navigate and we learn something from every heartbreak in our life and every loss. So I love what you just said there. Like that is it. And it's also nice to know when you're not alone, you know?
Yeah.
You when you have like girlfriends who have gone through like the same kind of thing. Wait.
It's like, oh, you got through it. You survived. Okay, I can do that too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we bonded over some like shared past stuff that was hard, you know? And it is nice. It does make it easier because sometimes you do feel like when you feel really strong emotions, especially when you're a woman, you can just feel so alone. Like clearly nobody else has ever felt this or gone through this in their whole entire life. But it's not true. We all have.
So many people have gone through the same exact situation and they have survived. And I think that there is a lot of encouragement in that, in knowing that, okay, if they can do it, I can do it too.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are things you can do, I think, to help yourself too. Like for me, when I'm dealing with anything hard in my life or when I just need to pick me up, like I like to like move my body. So whether that means like go get in the ocean or go out for a long walk, like I will walk off a lot of emotions. That's my thing, is like walking, hiking, getting outside. I know you like going and doing like outdoorsy things too.
Yeah, it's a good way to, again, stop the brain from just focusing on that one experience, that heartache, that emotional anxiety that you're feeling, and putting it towards something else. And you're creating endorphins in your body. You are getting your mind on other things. And you may still be thinking about it in the back of your mind, but you're also doing something that is good for you and it's healthy for you. Now, the next step is to then put your thoughts onto things that are positive. So thinking about the things that you're grateful for, the good things that are in your life. Because when you're going through heartbreak or heartache or a negative situation, it is really easy to focus on the worst thing of like, well, my life is over now, or what I thought my life would be is over, and this is the worst thing ever. But it's like, that's one person in your life. Look at all of the other people that you have in your life who love you, who cherish you, who value you. Focus on those people. Focus on those relationships.
You are so right, because I just went through something kind of hard in life. And one of my really good friends, she was saying something so similar. She was saying, she said when she goes through something hard, like a breakup or a big heartbreak or anything, what makes her feel better is making a list of all the good things in her life, even the silly things. And she actually she's like, I'll make a list for you. So she made a list for you. And a lot of it was really funny and made me laugh. But I thought that was like a really sweet thing to do. So I am going to suggest that to everybody.
That's a good friend. I'm just going to say that right there. That's something that my best friend would do for me as well. And she's always been really good about like when I'm feeling down, of giving me that reassurance and like building me up those words of affirmation.
Yeah.
I really need at times, and helping me get like recentered and focused on good things. My family is really good about that too. But I'm so glad that she did that for you.
She did. And actually I'm rereading it right now. And some of them are really funny. Some of them are a little bit shallow. And some of them are really deep and nice, but I own my own home.
That's amazing. What is it, like 70% of single women own their own house? Or like, what was that stat that came out recently?
You know, there are a lot of stats, and there are more single women who own homes than there are single men, which is like the least surprising thing I've ever heard in my entire life. One of the things on my good list to get over heartbreak is that I don't have any bad allergies.
Oh. That's true. I mean, you could be allergic to eggs.
Yeah, at least I'm not allergic to eggs. Not to rub it in, but at least I can eat gluten and cheese.
Wow, I feel attacked.
I have a great therapist. That's on my list.
Okay.
I don't have
something to be grateful for, I guess. A good thing in your life.
I have great taste. Although I think she's referring to like style and not men.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. I live within walking distance to the ocean. That is something to be grateful for. So,
I mean, isn't everyone within walking distance of the ocean? You just got to be willing to walk.
Yeah,
however long it is.
I guess. That's so funny. So what would be on your list today if you were making a list to go over heartbreak? Give me something silly, give me something serious, and then
putting me on the spot. Okay, so for things that I'm grateful for, or like good qualities that I have.
I mean, you want me to make your list for you?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. All right.
Because I'm like, what are my things? Don't put me on a spot like that. I hate talking about myself.
You have great hair.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. And also you are really intelligent and witty and funny.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
And you have a great career where you get to work for yourself.
Love it.
Yes. And you
Wait,
are...
what's a silly thing?
Probably the hair.
Like
hair thing is like a little silly, maybe,
Hmm.
you know, because it's like,
Okay.
it is very true. And you should be grateful for your great hair, but it's also like kind of one of the least important things about you.
You know, I find my hair to be very important.
Well,
So
okay. We just have a lot of other things that bring value to the world besides your amazing hair and like wildly good looks.
like really, really good looking.
You're like really, really ridiculously good looking. It's going on the list.
You're making me blush.
Oh, okay. So self-care, gratitude, surround
Yeah,
yourself
so
with other women who have gone through the same thing.
who will hype you up to the max,
Yeah.
like we just did.
Yeah. And I think there's some wrong things that you can do too from heartbreak. Like you can let loss and heartbreak really shape the rest of your life and become kind of like this bitter, angry person
Yeah.
too. So you do have to
Yeah.
be careful. You got to feel the feelings, go through the emotions, but you don't
Yeah.
want to ruminate on them for too long, like you said.
Yeah, not every thought or emotion is valid. And I know people aren't going to love that, but let me tell you, if
Don't
you're having
invalidate me.
some thoughts, some things need to be invalidated. I'm just telling you right now. If you have a thought of like, ooh, I should go slash this person's tires, no, you should absolutely not do that. If you're like, oh, I should sneak into this person's house in the middle of the night while they're sleeping, no, don't do that.
Don't
This
do
is
it.
something that an old friend, who's no longer a friend, did when she was going through heartbreak. And I'm like, you're not supposed to do these things.
No.
Stop doing these things.
No, just make a podcast.
It's way more cathartic
Make a
and
podcast. And
healthy.
it's better for the world, you know?
It is.
Share experiences with other women, okay?
Yeah. So
Stop
don't
slashing
give
your ex's tires.
don't give into the crazy thoughts. I know that everybody gets a crazy thought here and there. Don't listen to those.
I mean,
Those
this
are inside
podcast.
thoughts that you just shut those down.
Yeah. But if
So
you
that's
do
how
give in,
not.
if you do give into those crazy thoughts, please send us an email, 2girlsinthemarket, and that's the number 2girlsinthemarket@gmail.com, and please let us know what your crazy thoughts and actions have been when dealing with heartbreak, because I would find that entertaining. But hopefully, yes, you can channel it into healing and self-care, and then gradually to maybe opening up that big old heart of yours again.
Yes, and I will try not to judge you. Oh my gosh. Okay, if you're watching the video, you saw the hearts that just randomly came out of Amber's chest. I think it's because it's the Apple FaceTime stuff where it like does all these like motions and stuff. If you do like a thumbs up, if you do a heart, and I'm so sorry if you're only listening on the audio, but it was adorable and precious and like truly the best thing to happen in that moment.
That was magical. That felt
I loved
good.
it.
Wow. Okay, so you go through a heartbreak,
Mm-hmm.
you do the healing, you do the work. How quickly can you jump back into something? What do you think?
Like into another relationship?
Yeah, when can you
Or-
open your heart? We're talking about the dating market right now.
Yeah, I think that depends on the person and it depends on the situation, the relationship that you were in before. Like if somebody was married, and because marriage is intense, marriage is way more intense than like a dating relationship. So I would say if you are married and then you get divorced, I think you should be single for a year at least, because you need time to heal. You need time to process. You need time to learn how you are as an individual again, as a single person, especially if you were married for like maybe if you guys were only married for a year, like you don't need more than like a year to kind of get past that. I don't know. But I would say like if you've been married for 10 years, 20 years, you should not immediately jump back into the dating scene.
Probably
Because,
not.
like that's a lot. That's a lot to heal from.
You know what they say the best way to get over somebody is, though? Never mind. I do think that
I disagree that that's the best way to do it, by the way. I think that's a terrible idea.
We can debate
Let me
that.
add more trauma to my life.
Another show. That's another show for another day. But I do think that men tend to like jump back in a little bit sooner. I
Yeah,
think
but
there
is that
actually are
healthy?
stats on that. I don't think it is healthy. I think sometimes it's to avoid the healing process.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, I do think men are also able to compartmentalize
Mhm.
naturally than women are. So
Mhm.
yeah, I think our ability to usually take the time and work on ourselves and heal like is probably kind of a superpower and probably gonna give us like a more fulfilling, meaningful rest of our life and relationships. So I do think it is important to take the time to heal. I do sometimes though have the urge because I am the type of person who like tends to like cling on to things and
Mhm.
like fight the detachment and the heartbreak and like want to like like no, let's get back together, like a
Mm.
little bit like that's like kind of my thing, like it's loss and heart, losing people is really hard for me. I know it's hard for everybody, but it's
Yeah.
really hard for me. So sometimes I do wonder, maybe I'm a little bit more like a man in this that way, where I'm like, maybe the healthiest thing for me would to just be to jump back into something as quick as I can to distract myself. um I wonder
But
why I'm
is that
single.
healthy? Is that healthy to just be focused on distracting yourself, or are you not allowing yourself to process
Well,
what's
exactly.
actually going on?
I mean,
So,
so
this is where I would say leaning into your other relationships and your other friendships is what would be better. Instead of looking for it in another romantic person, let's look for that fulfillment. Let's fill that void, that space of time that you now have because you're no longer in a relationship. Fill that with people that are platonic. Fill that with your
yes.
family. Fill that with your friends. Fill that with your business. Get a new hobby. And maybe as you're pursuing the things that are important to you, the things that make you happy, maybe you'll find somebody else who also shares those interests. And then that'll be something that you guys can learn to do together, or like, you're already doing it together. So you learn more about each other, you guys grow together, and it's not two mismatched puzzle pieces trying to force their way together because they think the other person's hot.
Yeah. Yeah, that
It's
is
just not.
that's true. I'm just keeping it real over here, okay?
I am also, let me tell you from my many years of singleness, Amber, the way that adage that you brought up before, that's not the way to do it. It doesn't help anything, doesn't heal anything. And I know you want to debate that later. We can do that.
Well,
But
no, do as Becca says, not as Amber does. But
tagline of our podcast.
yeah, 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 yeah. You're very wise. You're very wise for your years, Becca. Let's talk about the real estate world a little bit because we
Okay.
deal with loss in that. I've dealt with loss
Yes.
in that. It's not usually quite as devastating to my soul, but it can be hard
Right.
for people.
Well, we're managing other people's loss. We're
Yeah.
managing other people's emotions, which is like a whole nother situation where it's not just dealing with your own emotions is one thing, or even just dealing with your good friend's emotions. But
Mhm.
dealing with a client, that's a tricky thing to navigate
It's really
because
tricky.
what if you've only been working with these people for like 2 weeks and they fell in love with a house that you guys saw on
Mhm.
one of your first showings and they're like, this is the house for me. It fits everything because you did your job. You found them the perfect house that literally fits everything that they're looking for. You found it right away. They go to make their offer on it and they don't win the bid. They are
Yeah.
devastated. And you've only known them for 2 weeks. So, how do you help that person navigate that?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's more than just a real estate deal that you lose. It's more than just a transaction. It's like this culmination of all your hard work, your dedication, sometimes I try not to get like emotionally invested
Yeah.
too much, but they're emotionally invested usually.
Yeah.
And it is about bringing somebody's like dreams and their
Mhm.
home to a reality, or you're an investor to finding the perfect property or whatever it is. So it is personal. It is a
Mhm.
personal thing. Each deal is like its own story, its own movie plot with like hopes and dreams and disappointments sometimes.
It's impossible, I think, with the way that you and I do business, because we are so personal, it is impossible not to have any emotions or any feelings when our
Yeah.
clients miss out on something or when they face heartbreak in the real estate market. I'm curious, how do you help your clients through that? And how do you keep yourself from getting bogged down emotionally with it or like letting it ruin your day? Or does it? Or does it ruin your day?
You know what? This is a challenge because, like I said, it does get to be personal. sometimes. And in real estate, I think we do learn more than other careers to have thicker skin because there are ups and downs, not just with losing deals or not, but just, with the market, it ebbs and flows. And that can sometimes define our success. So we do have to have thick skin. We have to get used to things like rejection and loss. But I think it's really important to dust yourself off and get back up. And when you are dealing with clients and client expectations, I usually try and help them stay really positive and optimistic and look at the silver linings, because usually there are silver linings. I will say most of my clients do seem to believe that if something fell through, like that is what was meant to be, because there are greater things in store, probably just like, a heartbreak in the dating world. There's something better in store for you. But then, sometimes it's just a bit of rough luck. Like maybe you're representing a buyer or you're representing a seller, and they give you no warning and they just pull out of the deal. Have you ever heard of the old
Pulling
pulling
out.
out?
One of the reels that started it all.
They just pull out. And it's kind of like, you didn't even warn me, right? Like sometimes you feel like you gave so much to your client and they just pull out of the deal. You try to explain how this works and the consequences of it, and they just pull out. It leaves a really messy, sticky situation that you now have to clean up. I'm sorry, which market are we talking about?
I've completely lost the plot at this point.
So, what?
Those sticky situations.
When it doesn't work out, you got to stay positive. Hopefully you used protection with your contracts and your contingencies, and the search keeps going. You do a new home inspection. You inspect new homes.
Yeah.
And the real estate market's always moving, and so should we be in our lives. So you dive back into your listings, you swipe back on the app or whatever you got to do, you network, you stay connected, you take care of yourself, because the next perfect deal, you never know when it's going to show up. You never know when it's going to walk in the door. Yeah. Another opportunity. So,
well, I will say, just like it's important to acknowledge your feelings and your emotions when you're dealing with it in the dating realm, I think from a real estate realtor perspective, it is important to acknowledge your clients' emotions and feelings as they're going through that. That is, I think, one of the best ways that you can be there for them. Sometimes they just need to vent about the situation.
Yes.
And well, I think it is important to be able to bring in the reality of like, hey, this isn't the only house. There will be another house, or there will be another buyer if you're dealing on the listing side. Having some emotional intelligence is important too, of like reading the room. Sometimes it's not the right moment to say that.
Yeah.
I think it's good to acknowledge of like, hey, I'm really sorry that this one didn't work out. And sometimes that's the end of that conversation. It's not like, let me just send you a bunch of new listings. Depending on the client, so you read the room and figure that out with them of like, when is the right time to bring it back up? Because for some people, they're done with the market and they need a week or two break, or they need a month or two break,
especially in a
choice. Yeah, in a market like right now, like where things are kind of ever changing, you need to know kind of where their pain points are, and you need to make sure that you're not pushing them over the edge, because that's when you break trust with your client.
Yeah, that is why real estate is such a people business. If you are not good with people and relationships, it's going to be really, really hard for you to be a successful realtor, or it could just like affect yourself personally, having to do all of these things every day, kind of be there for your clients, be their therapist, be their matchmaker, be their everything, be their financial advisor. Okay, wait, only do stuff that you are licensed for, people. So
yeah,
but I do think a big part of moving on from whatever kind of real estate loss or transaction loss or different things is to prepare for your next opportunity. And a great way to do that is to kind of also look back at maybe what went wrong. Because sometimes there are things that, could have been done differently to have a different outcome. So whether that is you lost a client because you didn't have a good follow-up system and you lost touch with them, and so they forgot that you were their real estate agent ever, and so they went with another realtor, the next realtor that was in front of them at some random open house. So you can, you know,
follow-up
prepare.
systems.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can prepare to do it better in the future. Or maybe your buyers lost out on an opportunity because they bought a car or did something to drastically change their income or credit during the transaction. Oh, I need to remember to get ahead of that and educate my buyers about how this all works, especially maybe they've never done it before and they wouldn't have lost that deal. So
the do's and don'ts. And that's where it's really important to have that consultation on the front end. So we don't just have a listing presentation, we also have a buying consultation time where you are setting the expectation and you are letting them know what the market looks like. So is it common for people to get the very first house that they make an offer on? Or is it more likely that they're going to have to make 10 or 12 offers?
yes,
Setting that expectation at the beginning will help save your buyers so much heartbreak of like, all right, guys, I need you to be like prepared for this emotional journey that we are about to go on. And then checking in with them and then asking if you didn't win that bid, ask the other agent, the listing agent, what offer won? What did the other offers look like? I do that with all of the offers that I put in. I always ask for that feedback and then I bring that to my client so that we can look at where did we fail? What do we need to do on this next offer to structure it accordingly so that we can actually win the bid? And having that information has really helped them be able to make good choices and to be more like set for this. Like it's still a grind. If you're putting in 5 or 6 different offers, that is still a grind for your client. But I've found that having the conversation with them up front and bringing them data and talking about the different contingencies and talking about the different negotiation strategies that we can do on the front end helps prepare them for it better of like, hey, this is what we can do. You guys choose what you want to do. And that usually they'll start off oh, we want to keep all the contingencies. We want to do all of this at the beginning. And I'm like, okay, we can definitely do that. And then, you know, as we've gone on, they're like, okay, actually, I think we want to do what you said at the beginning. I'm like, okay, we'll do what we said at the beginning of like dropping this and dropping that. But again, it's all based on their comfort levels and it's not me forcing them into anything.
And what you're describing right now, Becca, is definitely a skill. That is a skill that a realtor can learn, usually by having more experience. But when you go through these challenging times or you go through different things with different clients, you learn to sharpen your tools and your tool belt. And that one, managing client expectations and learning how to coach them and how to communicate with them. And all of these things are skills that you can sharpen so that when you go back in and you do find the next opportunity, you're going to be that much better. So every lost deal is a step to the next opportunity of success. So you got to have optimism, perseverance, preparation, and constantly be upping your game and becoming better and better. So whether that's, you know, dating where you're working on yourself and becoming a better person all of the time and doing the inner work so that you are prepared to be in a relationship. Because, you know, relationships are really just mirrors back on ourselves. So if we're not good, we're not going to have good relationships. You know, in real estate, we can learn from these things and get better and better. Keep our sights set on the horizon.
Yes, everything is a learning opportunity.
The next big deal or the next hot guy got your name on it. I know it. Dear listener, I know it. So stay optimistic. Here are my tools for you. Breathe, eat chocolate, and don't listen to sad, slow songs.
Yes. Do not listen to anything sad. It's going to keep you in it. You listen to upbeat stuff.
Yeah.
Upbeat, positive things. Stay away from those sad movies and get sunshine. I don't know about you, but the sun always helps me feel better.
Yeah. Why do you live in the Pacific Northwest then? The big dark.
I know. And it's like every single time now that we're in spring, this past 5 days, we've had beautiful sun. And I'm like, I feel like myself again. Like, where has she been the last few months? But mountains, I love them. And I didn't get those in Florida. So here we are.
Nature is such a big part of me healing from loss and dealing with the stress of being a real estate agent. Also, I just wanted to share with everybody one of my other favorite things. And this is a little bit cheesy, but when I'm going through hard things, I really like to read. poetry to go
Oh.
to nature and read poetry. And one of my favorite little poems from my favorite poet, Rebekah. I might say your name wrong, so I'm really sorry if I did. But it says, "But what is stronger than the human heart, which shatters over and over and lives?" And that is kind of a sad poem, but what I love about it is like when I look back at the hard things of my life and the losses and the heartbreak, and then I realize, yes, but Amber, you're still living. And look at how amazing your life is and how beautiful it is. And you felt such intense pain. And then that pain one day just goes away and you're better for it. So that's why I like that poem, because it is kind of amazing that our heart can break over and over, and our deals can fall out, or we have a
Over and over.
fraudulent land seller in Hawaii dealing with that
Oh
a
my
lot.
gosh.
Yes. Okay, do you know what one thing that I always remind myself of, Becca, is that the guy that is making me sad right now, this time next year, don't even worry about it, Amber. It's going to be a completely different guy making you sad. Am I right?
That's so true.
I mean, think back a year.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Where were we a year ago? So sad. It's funny how things just repeat like this, isn't it?
It is. Same sadness, different guy. But it won't be the guy you are so sad about today. You won't even remember him in a year. It's fine.
But for me, it's same guy.
All right. We need to work on some moving on self-care.
Oh, yeah. Same guy, different issue. But
Yeah.
also same issue.
You know what? One of the pieces of advice that I do have that I do not follow a lot of times is when you go through a heartbreak with somebody you're dating, sometimes the healthiest thing to do is delete their phone number, block them on social media, go no contact, and move on. And it is so hard. It is so hard.
You've never done that in your life. Maybe you've done it once.
I have done it. I have done it.
I was like, Amber, how many times have I told you to do this and you haven't done it?
Yes. No, I don't follow my own advice all the time, but I have done this to the extreme in the past in a situation where it was very, very warranted. And you are right. The times that I have not done it, I have suffered. It has made the healing process take longer. I did learn from that experience, but it is something that I have been thinking about a lot lately with certain people in my life that I'm realizing I might need to let go of. And I'm like, oh, is it? But you know what? We're still friendly. They're still nice. And I'm kind of in that situation again. Yeah, exactly. It's really easy to justify reasons to hold on to people. But for some of you to get over heartbreak, probably a lot of the time, cutting that person off. Don't check their social media. Don't look at their stories. Don't text them. Don't.
Or because I know cutting people off, like completely on social media, or like unfriending and unfollowing, that can feel like very final, and that can feel dramatic at times. So if you're only wanting to like unfriend or unfollow them because like whenever you see them pop up, it makes you feel some type of way, like you get a little jab, just mute them. It's not so final of like,
social media. Just mute them. You can mute them.
It's something I've had to do, like post breakup or post like argument. Like if there's a situation that we've gone through and it's like I'm still in that healing process, I'm on quote unquote good terms with this person, but I'm like not really. But like every time I see their face, there's something that's like jabbing me, I'll mute them. That way I can get past that. It's not that I don't necessarily like want to cut them off completely from my life because that's not necessary, but I also know that I need to not see them. I need to have some space. And I think that's the hard thing with the world that we live in now of social media. Everything is right at our fingertips. And at the end of the day, you don't see
you didn't see them
every single day. You may see them once a month. You may see him once a week when you've like run into them at the grocery store or like around and about town because you live in the same place, but you're not going to see them every single 5 minutes, whenever you open up your phone.
Well, and another challenge with social media and heartbreak is that, well, first of all, social media loves to give us those horrifying time hops where they just surprise you with a picture of you or somebody that you are not
Yes.
prepared for. But also navigating the very public spectacle that can be a heartbreak when you have publicly been on social media with another person and then all of a sudden you're not. And how do you navigate that? And do you delete all
Yeah.
the pictures? Do you make a public proclamation? Like it does add this whole like other factor that we don't often
Yeah.
think about.
I did that once. I've only done one public proclamation, and
How did it go? Did it work
well,
out well for you?
I mean, it was when the guy I was supposed to marry, it's like when we broke up. So
Yeah.
I felt like I also like went off social media for an entire month, maybe 2 months.
That's
Because like
probably
I feel
healthy.
like yeah, I felt like I needed to make a statement because it's while I'm in real estate. So I'm like, I kind of feel like I owe some people some explanations, and I didn't feel like having individual conversations. So I was just like, hey, this just happened. It's a hard time. Don't really want to talk to anybody. It's nothing personal to anybody. I just taken a step back from a lot.
Yeah.
And then I archived all of our photos where like he deleted his social media, and that was that. And
You
it's
know?
hard. Yeah. I think going forward from there, I kind of made a decision that I wasn't going to go like in a relationship with anybody on Facebook, enter the soft launch where
Mhm.
honestly, like unless I am engaged to somebody, I don't see myself posting that person to my feed
Oh,
anywhere.
yeah,
Like
you
you're going to be in my story, and then maybe I don't even know if I'll post you fully in my story. Because I just so much of what you and I do is so public
yeah.
that there are aspects of my personal life that I do want to keep private.
Yeah.
And that's one of those areas that I think I would rather keep whatever relationships, whoever I'm dating, more like off the internet, just to
Yeah.
have like that privacy. I don't post my family either, so it's like kind of in that same realm.
Oh, social media is so weird like that. I feel like well, for me personally, I'm on social media because I'm a real estate agent. I don't know
Mhm.
that I would probably have profiles, but I don't know that I would really engage with it that much. I don't enjoy, ooh, follow me, but I don't enjoy social media. Like I really don't. Like I feel like it sucks a lot of my life, right? So
Mhm.
I try to be very intentional with it. That being said, and I know you're the same way, a lot of your social media presence is very personal because I do think that is the new way of marketing. So when you bring in like dating relationships and you have to factor in breakups and heartbreaks, that does make it really tricky. So um people might be surprised because I do put so many like personal things on social media. That's
Mhm.
so much of my life. You will never find. You won't see
Yeah.
most of my friends. You won't see who I'm dating. You won't see all of that stuff on my social media because I've been through heartbreak in the past and had to deal with like that on a public level, and it can be really really hard. So yeah,
Yeah.
I you think you know me, you don't know me,
You see maybe 25% of our lives.
if
But
that.
we post so much that like people have told me they're like, "Oh, I feel like I know every single thing that you're doing all the time." And I'm like, "There you have no idea that
Yes.
that I'm doing that I'm not posting."
Yeah.
And I think that's okay. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like you still get to know me as a person. Like who I am online is who you're going to meet in person. So I think that's important to show up genuinely. And I think that's also important for gaining new clients and gaining that trust is to show who you are. Right.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's anything wrong with using marketing, social media for marketing yourself or anything else. Same time, don't think I need to put my dating relationship details on there. I will share stories. Hello, we have an entire podcast sharing stories about it. But I'm not going to put anybody's name out there. I'm not going to put any specifics so that you would be able to identify anybody because I think
Yeah.
that that's privacy is important.
I do often, and it sounds like a little bit like a pessimistic, but I do often look at the things that I put out in the world from a perspective of okay, well, if this ends slash when this ends, the heartbreak, like what will I not have want to put out there? And so I
Yeah.
am usually really grateful that I don't post, you know, who I'm dating, or and that might change in the future, or any of that. I don't post stuff like that, and I don't send pics.
Yeah, because let me tell you, if you put it out there, because like that's what I had done with the guy I was gonna marry, is it was out there. People knew. And so we broke up. And then when I like started seeing people like, and they're like, oh my gosh, where's the ring? Show me the ring. And I was like, I am dying inside. And I
Yeah.
cannot handle people asking to see a ring that I don't have. And it was just, and I think that's why I put the public thing out there. And again, that's why I'm like, never again. I don't see myself ever being so open about something like that again. Because when you are going through the pain, when you're going through the heartache of it, and you're just trying to hang on, you're trying to heal, the last thing that you want is anybody asking a question. And I know it's all good natured. They don't mean anything mean by it, but it's not what you need to hear. And it's not what you want it to happen.
Absolutely. Because you know what? Men come and go. But this, Becca, friends, the girls, they're forever. So that's why we just post together.
We can post it, but Amber, what if you and I break up?
Oh my God, the world is not ready for that heartbreak. Don't even put that energy out there.
We could never. I think actually I've had some friend heartbreaks in the past. That's always been hard.
Friend heartbreaks are definitely one of the less talked about heartbreaks that are very real. Nobody talks about the heartbreak that is friendship, and it can be a very long healing process from that can affect all of our relationships moving forward too.
Sometimes I think friend heartbreaks are worse than romantic heartbreaks because it's on it's a different level, but we can definitely do. Actually, I think this is very similar in some ways to another episode that we're going to do in the future that was requested by one of our listeners. So I will save more of my thoughts for that one because it'll be a good one. And I'm super curious to get your feedback on it.
Ooh.
But yeah, friend heartbreak. Where was I going with that?
I don't know. I have a poem about friendship heartbreak.
Trauma.
You want another poem? I have my favorite poem about friendship heartbreak.
Yes, give me another poem about friendship heartbreak.
We can cut this out. But this is such a beautiful poem.
Okay.
They did not tell me it would hurt like this. No one warned me about the heartbreak we experience with friends. Where are the albums? I thought. There are no songs sung for it. I could not find the ballads or read the books dedicated to writing the grief we fall into when friends leave. It is a type of heartbreak that doesn't hit you like a tsunami. It's a slow cancer, the kind that does not show up for months, has no visible signs, is an ache here, a headache there, but manageable. Cancer or tsunami, it all ends the same. Friend or lover, a loss is a loss is a loss.
Oh my gosh, that is so beautiful and so accurate.
Mm-hmm. We're never breaking up.
No. Oh, I remember where I was going. I was going to say that, yes, I've had a lot of friend breakups in the past and friend heartache, but I feel like I've done a much better job as I've gotten older of picking good friends that do not lead to that type of stuff. I've had some really toxic friendships in the past, but I don't feel like I have that anymore, and it's so nice. So nice to not have friend drama.
Yeah, so you can use that heartbreak from friendship heartbreaks to learn what you need in friends.
Absolutely.
And find better ones, quite frankly.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you're going through a friend heartbreak, just know you will get to the other side of it. And there are good, genuine people who are a good fit for you, who are a good match on a completely platonic level.
Yeah.
So.
And there are different seasons of life. Stand firm. There are different seasons of life for different people, and whether that's a romantic partner, a lover, a type of client that you have, or a friend, losing hurts, heal, move on to the next better chapter, next season. Turn the page. I can't think of any. There's a lot of.
There's so many things that you could say.
But yeah, this was a great conversation. I hope everybody got, all their comfort drink in and felt a little less alone in the world today. And thank you, Becca, for talking with me today about how we navigate the complex world of heartbreak.
I'm always here for you.
Thanks everyone for listening. I hope you stay tuned for more conversations, and we're just diving into what it feels like to be a girl in the market and to be a human on this planet. So Until next time, everybody, take care of yourself and take care of your girls around you. Bye.
Bye.